Stop right there. Yeah, you. If you like all things entertainment, current events, or Hollywood, then look no further. Creator to Creators, hosted by director Meosha Bean of Horror Noir, interviews filmmakers and creatives from around the world. Join in on the fun, guest celebrities, and informative information to have as a creator. Hit subscribe and stay connected to Creator to Creators.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Creator to Creators today. Today, we have a special guest.
Anthony Polanco.
What's up?
You can call me Aunt P if you like. I like Aunt P probably a little better.
Hey, MP in the building. Bum, 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 bum. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me, Meosh. I've known Meosha for a few years. We met in LA several years ago, and it's been amazing to keep up with her career and her with mine. And I'm just super humbled and honored to be on your pod. I listen to your pod quite often on Instagram.
Oh, that's so great. Thank you. That means so much to me. I mean, ditto. I mean, I think you're just so awesome. And the things that you do, I feel like people need to know. Like you're a jack of all trades. Would you say that?
I guess so. Yeah. I think I've wrestled with my being mediocre at a lot of things, but not being able to give up any one of them. I guess that's just being an artist, but I've learned to be at peace with that about myself.
I love that. I love that. So tell me from the beginning, like I love to go back. I think that your childhood always shapes the way, kind of where we're going into our trajectory in our life and stuff. So when you were a child, like a little bit of like what was your childhood like and how did you kind of find your way into the all the creative things that you're doing now?
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know about other people, but for me, I had a really strong idea of how I wanted life to go when I was a kid. I went on a missions trip when I was 11, and that gave me a thirst for traveling and talking to strangers about God and about existence. And I was born to a musician father, so I played music my whole life, and doing the missions thing put me in Christian bands, like the desire to be in a Christian band. And so being in a Christian band led me to, experiencing more and more of life. And yeah, just one thing after another. I'm in my 30s now, and I'm still kind of doing the same thing, just exploring the meaning of existence, talking to people about it, and making music that, helps people experience that intimate thing about life in ourselves that is spiritual, regardless of what religion people follow. We all have that spiritual sense of life, and I think that's what music and talking to people about how they feel about those things, that makes me happy. That's just who I am, and it came from being a kid.
I love that. Were your like parents and I mean obviously were they super supportive of anything that you kind of the ventures that you try like wanted to go on or were they kind of like
Yeah, I mean, they were supportive enough to let me do it, but it was a struggle. They're conservatives from a small town. They both their families came from Mexico, so it was hard for them to let me do a lot of things, but I was the youngest of four, and so they kind of learned to let go a little bit. And they were newborn Christians, so having me in the church at all was a lot to them. So I could do anything as long as it had to do with the church, and that's how playing in worship bands started, and going on missions trips. So that was okay with me as long as I got to do cool stuff, and it ended up influencing me to really see a different perspective in life, and that's become who I am. And yeah, I have them to thank, but they weren't the biggest allies. They didn't like for me to go on tour. I had to fight with them about it. They didn't like for me to go on missions trips. I had to really convince them. So begrudgingly, they were my allies through the whole thing, but they didn't know at the time how valuable it was going to be for me when I became an adult.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, so I'm curious, the mission trips, like what did that consist of
Yeah,
exactly?
so when I was 11, it's funny, a lot of kind of gives me goosebumps, and whenever I read kids stories or watch movies where the kid's always 11. And when I was 11, I went on a missions trip that changed my life. My parents let me go to Kenya with a small team. My sister's friend from high school was leading. She became a evangelist, and so she was taking a small team from our hometown. And my parents let me go without any family members.
Wow.
And I spent a month there evangelizing to homeless people, homeless children, remote tribes, And yeah, that was like dramatically transformative. People think like, how could a kid be a minister or an evangelist? But like Christianity has this thing where if you just tell your story of how your life was, or your mind or your life was messed up, and then you found Christ, you tell that story, and that story alone is transformative. And like that's pretty enlightened, actually. Like all we are is our experience, and like you can, knowledge is free. So what we really have to give is our unique story, and like that is transformative. So I was able to really touch people's lives even though I was a little kid, and that was addicting. So I kept doing it as a kid. I just kept wanting to go on different missions trips, and even when I was in my hometown, I'd skateboard around town and like ask people if I could pray for them. That was like my hobby.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Wow, I had no idea, and I know you for a long time. I had no
Yeah,
idea
that
that
was
you.
like my childhood hobby. It's really interesting. I didn't realize how unique it was until like now that I'm an adult. I look back and yeah, nobody was doing that when they were a kid, you know.
Kenya? No, I was playing in the backyard on monkey bars and stuff at
Yeah.
11. But no, that's incredible. Like that, you had such a, like, I feel like that's something, like, it's so interesting how that shaped, and a part of like your mission now as you get older. Do you feel like that was like definitely a part of your calling? And even now, like, do you feel like I mean, I don't know if you go on mission trips now, but like, do you feel like that's something that you still kind of incorporate in what you're doing now with your career?
Yeah, I think the podcast is like my ministry. Like it's not a Christian podcast,
Mhm.
but I think anytime I can get people to think about God in a different way, that's expanding their consciousness. And it does that for me. So I'm like, if
Mhm.
I'm ministering to myself by having people on the pod and talking about their life experience with, and their experiences with God and near death experiences and stuff, that I think is enlightening in itself. And like when I left ministry, like for the Christian church, I thought, how am I going to serve God now? And that's when I started the pod. That was in 2016.
Okay.
And it was like really slow. I just did a few episodes a year, but I just kept it going. And in the last few years, I've had a ton of guests and lots of feedback. And so I treat that as my ministry now. You know, it's just like a ministry of like enlightenment and like the search for God, regardless of like what religion you come from, you know.
Like we're all like basically connected and on this, that we're on different journeys, but we're all like connected and going to the source of
Exactly. Yeah,
okay.
and the benefits of pursuing God, and the benefits of like, you know, whether it's through meditation, yoga, or prayer or worship or whatever, like the benefits are tangible. They make you more peaceful. They give you clarity of mind. They make you stop questioning whether you deserve to be alive. You know, things that
Oh,
bother people. Like that's what spirituality is really about. And like religion just has, in this age, is not doing a good job of like giving us the tools. So people just let it go and think like, oh, there's nothing there. It's like if you were to take a martial art and you try it once or for a week, and then you give it up because you didn't learn like any finishing moves.
right.
Like the fundamentals is just like the religion is just the fundamentals. Going beyond that is like asking God for real. Like, why am I here? What do you want me to do with my
Mm,
life?
yeah.
Whoever God is, if that's the universe or your highest self, like doesn't matter to me. But the benefits are tangible, and I can't help but talk about that, you know.
Because it's real. And God is, I mean, he created everything, right? So he is the universe. He is, God is in us, we're his creation. So it's all around. So you can't help, but you can't escape, that thing. And it's like, but you just said something about martial arts. You do that too. Like
Yeah.
what, like,
Mhm.
so when did you get into that, and like what drew you into that world? Because yeah, I've seen some of your clips on like you're beating some people up, like,
Yeah, yeah. You know, it's funny. I didn't grow up doing martial arts, or like I did basketball. That was my only sport. So I wasn't a very like contact sport kind of guy.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, I guess there was a time in my 20s when I realized like, you know, I've been in a lot of street fights and I could have been knocked out like so easily because I don't know how to fight. And so many people are like that. They think they know how to fight, but like I just had an awakening, like, wow, I'm so defenseless. So I decided to sign up for a jujitsu class. I didn't really know much about jujitsu either. I watched UFC, but like not just casually, you know. So
Mhm.
I just tried it one day when I was 25, and I fell in love with it. I showed up every day for like 2 years, and started competing, and yeah, it became a part of who I am. Martial arts does that, but I think like I had to let myself do something that I was gonna suck at, that I knew I was gonna suck at for a long time, and that wasn't gonna make me any money or like
Hmm.
give me any social status. It's just what I did was I kind of decided like, look, I need something to do for my health. Basketball isn't gonna work because my hips and knees are going away, and
Mm.
jujitsu is really soft on the body, turns
Oh,
out. So
interesting.
yeah, I just fell in love with it. It's great for athletes. It's great for people of all walks of life to just get fit and learn how to defend yourself. Um, I can't say enough about what martial arts has done for my life, but yeah, I definitely had to embrace the fact that I was gonna suck.
No, you're really good. I see your clips. I'm like, wow, it looks intense. I mean,
Time
I'm
goes
kind of
by
very
fast, you know? Like years have gone by. I've gotten good, but I
yeah.
sucked for a long time.
I think that's everything, right? That we do, that we start like, I mean, I think like, it's like I was talking to somebody about like film, and I was like, the more you do it, it's like a muscle, you just get better at it, well, hopefully, um
Absolutely.
but so you also do music as well, and not just you I've sort of heard you like you do a lot of things, like you're very like what what inspires you to keep doing the things that you do, and why music as well? Like what made you like, okay, I want to try that? Or are you
Yeah,
just a
it's
very
funny.
curious person? Or are you just curious all around?
It is that, but I wrestled with what people are gonna think about me being amateur or never picking one thing. Like I wrestled with that a
Really?
lot. And I think in the last few years, I've just decided, fuck it. Like, who cares? Who
Yeah.
cares what people think? And it turns out people enjoy seeing people try new things. People enjoy seeing you like kind of struggle and getting better. Like that progression is
Hmm.
what people want to see. They don't really, when you see something perfect, you almost don't even notice it because it was meant to be there. And so you kind of skip it. But when you see something that's almost perfect and you can identify, like, oh, if that thing only had this, it would be perfect.
Yeah.
That's what makes you fall in love with something. That's what makes you want to keep up with that thing because you want to see the growth. And
Hmm.
so I just stopped caring about what people think. If I want to DJ for 6 months, I'll DJ for 6 months. If I want to
Absolutely.
make a music album, or if I want to vlog like every day for 6 months and then stop, that's my prerogative. And people will benefit from that. But if I never decided to do that, no one was going to benefit from it. So
Hmm.
I think like I've accepted the fact that like, yeah, I'm a jack of all trades. I'm a consummate amateur. I don't care. I might be a master of one thing eventually, but like I don't mind being amateur at everything. It validates, or it benefits me to be an
Hmm.
amateur at a lot of things. It doesn't
Hmm.
benefit society. It only benefits society for me to be good at one thing. That
Hmm.
society doesn't want me to win at a lot of things. It wants me to pick one thing so
Right.
that it can just keep me there. But
Hmm.
I benefit from doing a lot of things.
Right.
So I'm going to keep doing that as long as I can.
You're so right, because it's so true about the thing of like not caring about what people think. It's such a freeing thing when you really get there. You actually then begin to live life like
Hmm.
fully. I
Yeah.
think a lot of people were so afraid of what others think. I don't understand where that comes from,
We talked
but
about that on my podcast when I had you on, about how like as you get older,
mm,
and as you like progress in the industry, you stop caring about what people think, and that allows you to live life more. People say like, is the 20s, are your 20s the best time in your life? And I think like they're the worst time because you have so much pressure,
yeah,
and in your 30s you finally let it go. You're like, fuck it, I'm gonna do what I want. Now I
yeah.
feel like I've arrived at like being an adult. I can just be myself.
I love that. It's such a good place to be. It's such a yes, I 100%, because when you really let go and let God, essentially, right?
Hmm.
It's like then you're really constantly in the flow of just like I think that's where God wants us to be anyway,
Yeah.
is to, it's like be free from people, but also and then really just that and in constant communication with God. That goes for like anything that we do, because everything is spiritual to me. I look
Hmm.
at
Hmm.
everything through a spiritual lens, because even with film or whatever, that even the get like I call them that, not just film or whatever, anything that you do is a gift. Like the fact that you get up is a gift,
Yep.
and keep going, that's a gift. And so yeah, it's all yeah, so I just think it's super cool that you don't care at this point in your life, and you're really you begin to really actually live life when you don't care anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you tell me, you've changed genres in your filmmaking. Was that like an existential struggle for you? Were you like, I don't know if I should do horror because I've been doing this other thing, or like, when you did the anatomy series, like,
Mm.
were you like kind of nervous to change genres and to try something new, or like how did that affect you?
Um, you know, I guess for me too, I really honestly I wasn't really nervous, but I was put in a box, already, it was like, oh, you're gonna be just a horror filmmaker. And I'm like, I don't really care for the title personally.
Hmm.
I just think that I just do whatever I feel like doing,
Yeah, exactly.
whatever
Exactly.
genre that is. I could do a romantic film or whatever, which I haven't done yet, but I could totally do that. But it's just whatever I feel at the moment that speaks to my spirit, then I'll just do it.
Hmm.
Um,
Exactly.
but at one point, because I think when I did anatomy, I was like, well, obviously it was for completely outside of my element because I had no idea about anything in martial arts or anything in that world. So that was just
Hmm.
new. All of it was new to me in that sense. So I was very nervous to even take on that because I was like, I don't know anything about this world. But it was really cool because I learned so much. I got to
Right.
meet like, people that really do this and why they do it. And it's for them, it's like we got to meet oh God, the guy that was in the Bruce Lee film. He passed away. Um, but he talked about why he got into martial arts and you know, and in working with Bruce Lee and really close to his family and why they kind of got into all that world. And he said
Wow.
it was like a spiritual journey for them too. It goes back to that. I think we're
Hmm.
all going through this journey trying to be a better
Right.
person, you
Yeah.
know, whatever that looks like.
Yeah, we all have like an ideal fate like that we could play out, and I think that's like the gift of life is getting to go there. Like we have to make the right choices, but when
Mhm.
you do, it doesn't matter if you're like ministering to people or if you're making a film or if you're boxing or like if you're doing the thing you're supposed to do, it
Mm.
then it is a spiritual experience. You could be a mechanic, you could be
Yeah.
a kindergarten teacher. That's a spiritual experience for the person who was meant to be that.
Yes.
People who aren't meant to be that will experience a lot of suffering because they were meant to be something else. So all of life is a spiritual experience. It's really interesting to hear kind of your take on it. Because like, yeah, you've been through a lot. You were focused on music videos for a long time. You
Yeah.
got to work with Roy Jones in a music video, and then you did anatomy, right? So didn't
Mhm.
like doing the shooting boxing stuff help you with that?
In a way, yeah, it did. Yeah, in a way it did actually for sure. And it was a good experience. And I think I think for me, Roy was someone that I felt like he was I mean, I've met a lot of celebrities, but I think he's the most grounded, very in touch with his spiritual self as well, very in touch with God. Because we would have
Yeah.
like Bible study some days before we
Wow.
even like shoot. I'm just like, man, this guy's like, and I learned so much, being that he's such a big figure in that world, and but he's such a kind, sweet man, gentle soul, but he
Yeah.
boxes people, which is
Wow.
like the
That's
contrast.
amazing. I love hearing that.
But it's so cool with music with you, like because I find that you not only just DJ but you and you do like how did you get it, like did you teach your this is this self-taught, is this
Yeah,
like
I mean, I've been doing so my parents put me in piano lessons when I was 4.
oh
So I've been
my
doing
god.
music since I was 4 years old.
Wow.
Um and then from that playing in church bands, playing the bass. And I started playing in rock bands in high school. So I taught myself a lot of instruments.
Wow.
Um but I was actually putting it, into play for years and years. When
Ah.
I was in my mid 20s, I stopped playing in bands and I decided like I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm just going to make my solo music, and I did acoustic and singing, but it just didn't feel like me. So I started
Mhm.
playing with like, samples and looping with the launch pad, and that felt right. I knew it was going to take time, and it did, it took me like 3 or 4 years to finally feel comfortable playing shows and like doing it live, which for someone who's been playing his whole life, like that was really stressful. I wanted to play shows, but it was
Nice.
also really fun to learn to rewire my brain for like synths and stuff, like learning
Wow.
how electronic music works. So
Yeah.
that was worth it because now I'm way better at producing music. I'm really good at live looping, which is, my unique thing now. Lots of people live loop, but it's
Mhm.
really not like a huge niche, and
What
it's
is
really
live
cool to
looping
see.
exactly?
That's when like you have some kind of electronic device. Like for me, it's the launch pad. Some people have pedals where
Mhm.
you can play something, record it into the machine or into your computer, and like basically loop it, like push a
Oh,
button that makes it keep playing. And so you like compose live where you add layers on top of each other or take
mm,
layers away.
okay.
And so people do that with guitar pedals or like foot pedals. And some people do it with like some kind of on hand device. Like I use the launch pad.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so live looping is basically just a type of composing or performing where you like play one thing, then you add another thing, then you add another thing,
That's
you know.
cool. Because I did see something that you posted. It was like but I think it was like a meditation one where it was like you had people would come, like it was like you would, I don't know if you were playing an instrument or something like that. You were doing it. It was like I'm not sure. It was like a meditation class or music or
Yeah, yeah.
something.
Yeah, it's a meditation workshop. It's like a sound it's a sound bath and meditation workshop. So
Ah, okay.
sound bath is becoming really popular. People do it with sound bowls and gongs, but I would bring all my instruments and then like do like a 2 hour like musical performance basically, but it's like meditation music. And then during
Mm.
that time, like halfway through, I would like start a meditation class and so people could meditate, and then just vibe out. So I did like a handful of those last year and I haven't really done any this year, but I want to do some more of those. It's just a live event, a way for me to live loop that's not just showing up at a bar, like I wanted
Wow,
to have my own show and like an atmosphere. And so
I
like
see.
it's called
Like
Meditation Wave.
control your own environment and have like a
Yeah,
very, yeah, like experience or whatever. Like,
an experience for sure. Like I wanted to be the promoter of my own show that I could take to different places
mm,
and do like on my own time and then benefit from that, so that I can keep doing it. And it's really fun and I'm glad I did it. I think I would make it a little bit bigger
mm.
than I've been doing it. I've been doing it like at small studios and I think it needs to be like in a venue or like an outdoor space.
Ooh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So you're pretty much, you're like really involved in when you're putting this all together. You're doing flyers, you're putting everything together, or do you have like a team, or
Yeah.
it's just all you?
I do it. I do it. I mean,
Wow.
I've been doing it since I was 15, like I said,
That's cool.
like so I like to do it because yeah, it just makes it easier to make the show happen.
Yeah.
Promoters or venues like to know that the promoter has it taken care of.
Mhm.
Knowing how to be a promoter is like super valuable for artists. Like if you can put your own show together, do it. Like it's better than you should still support other people's shows and do open
Mhm.
mics and stuff, but like you'll profit more and you'll get more experience by running your own show for sure.
Yeah, that's cool. So, so, so that's so cool. Like, it's kind of like what, well, not, well, kind of Kanye, like Kanye. He had this thing called Sunday Service.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've ever been to one, but
Yeah, it
like,
is similar to that. It
it,
is similar to that.
yeah, he would like go to different churches and different places and like have his choir and like this like experience that you would feel like this. I find those are very interesting. So
Yeah.
that's really
I
cool.
love Kanye and I never like I love that he did that and never thought that that's what I was doing. But that's exactly what it is. Like I made the albums and then I started to play them out at different yoga studios.
Cool. What do you want to do? Like, how far do you want to take it as far as like, um, do you have like any goals in mind? Like you want to do, like, do you want to like have like the Rose Bowl one day, like something like that?
Yeah, actually, I went to a yoga festival when I was young, like right around the time I met you. I think it's 2016.
Hmm.
It was called Satnam Fest. It was in Joshua Tree, but then they started doing it in Malibu Canyon, and I've they stopped doing those, and so I'm like, dude, I gotta start something like that. There's lots of yoga festivals, there's lots of music festivals, but I'd never seen one like that that combined yoga, meditation, and music like so beautifully. Um, and so I started Meditation Wave with the idea that like one day I'm going to build up a Satnam Fest. And I hope someone beats me to the idea so I can just go, because I'd rather just show up. But it was so amazing that like, yeah, I'd love to play at one. I'd love to teach meditation at one. And until someone asks, I'm just going to keep doing my own. So my competitors better ask me or else I'm going to pass them up.
Absolutely. You're like, I'm going to do it myself. I got this.
Yeah, seriously. And I think that's honestly, that's the secret to my whole career. Like I never got picked to be in the cool band. So I
Are
started
you
my own.
serious?
You know, I never got picked to join. Like if I applied for a really cool company, they wouldn't hire me. So I started my own business. Like
Wow.
that's just been my life. And I think people should live that way instead of waiting for opportunities.
Yes. Yes.
Spite the people who did not give you the opportunity by passing them up. Do it
Mm.
yourself. Like that's the best way to live because you'll never waste time. You'll just keep doing new shit. And people can hate or they can praise you for it, but it doesn't matter. Just keep going, you know?
Mm-hmm. I love that. You know what's crazy? Because I feel the same way. And are you an Aries, by the way? You are,
Yeah,
right?
we're both Aries. Yeah.
Yes, yes. That's it's just in our it's like we're just natural born leaders. I mean, that's just
Our birthdays are only like what, a day apart?
yeah.
That's crazy.
It's so cool. I love that. It makes sense. I'm like, when I'm like, yeah. But what you said something really, really interesting because I really feel that completely. When I was younger, I was bullied. I didn't have friends. I was never the cool kid. But then I got older and I knew I wanted to do film and stuff and acting, all that stuff. And then I got older, I just kept going. And then like I've had those same people reach out to me later or they follow me and they're like, oh my God, I had a bully apologize. I'm just like, wow,
That's
it's
the
kind of
best.
crazy how
That's the best feeling.
nuts, huh?
Yeah, when you come full circle and like the people you grew up with, like they pay you respect, you know that was hard. Like you know that was hard for them. So that's like a 10x. That was worth 10 times what a stranger's praise is, you
It's
know.
right. Right. So for the people that are listening that want to like just for this show I want people to be encouraged and just hearing your story and the things that you did, and I love what you said, just go out and doing it. What advice would you give to someone that wants to even just do what you're doing or start? Like what would that advice look
I want to give like a really mindful answer
like?
because there's like a ton of things I could say to do.
Hmm.
I think that let's say it this way, the biggest mistakes I've made
Hmm.
is waiting for people to ask me for help. All my success comes from when I've reached out one to somebody who I can see needs me or could use my help and ask them if I can help them and show them how I can help them. And yeah, all my success comes from actually asking someone if they need my help. Every time I've waited years for opportunities that I could have just snatched up in a moment. It doesn't take more than an hour to start a business. You can go down the street, walking, looking at house to house, see someone with a problem like a lawn that needs mowed, a roof that needs cleaned, and just go knock on their door. Now you have a business. You have a case study that you can show other people. If you want to be a music artist, a musician, but you never show up to a bar or a restaurant and ask for the manager, you're going to wait for years. You have to show up. One-to-one conversations is how everything happens in life. You can set up a web page and have thousands of people hit that web page, but you still have to reach out to them via email, text, phone, or Zoom to actually get them to do the thing you want to do. So like people don't get rich by just sitting and waiting or building something and then letting it make money for them. Even if you build the thing, you still have to go talk to people every day. Transactions with other people is how the world goes around, you know, so you can't escape that. No automation or internet advancement can help us escape that we are humans that have to connect with other humans to get what we want out of life.
100%. And that's, I mean, yeah, I love that. Love that. Are you working on anything that you like to share? Anything that's coming up,
Yeah.
something down the pipeline?
Yeah, absolutely. I have a meditation course that I've been working on for a long time. I did a live course a year ago, and
Mhm.
12 people did it, and half of them finished and they really liked it.
Awesome.
And I've been doing these workshops since then. So this course is like a beautiful summary of yoga and meditation designed to help you build a daily practice, because that's the hardest thing for people.
Mhm.
Everyone knows they should meditate, but no one can keep a daily practice. That's something I've been able to do, keep the excitement and love for meditation alive
Mhm.
through yoga techniques and just spending time in meditation. I think that this course will help you get excited about meditating every day. It's called Boring Proof Meditation. You can go to spiritualfitnessgym.com and pre-order it right now. It'll be out in a couple weeks. But yeah, it's just meditate with me. There's going to be a community aspect where you can ask me questions and make friends with people. And yeah, it's just a great way to get help with meditation. It's a self-paced program. So it's like buying an instructional DVD. You do it on your own time, but you'll have me there. That's like a bonus. So
Awesome.
yeah, that's what I'm working on next. Other than that, the podcast, more albums this year for sure. That's pretty much it. The pod, coaching, meditation, and hopefully playing some more shows.
Heck yeah, that sounds amazing. And yeah, everybody go over and follow. Where can people find you on social media?
So you can find me at AntP Style everywhere. You can follow the pod at We Are God XP everywhere. So God XP podcast or AntP Style everywhere. Go to anthonypolanco.com if you get lost or confused.
Yes. Thank you so much for talking with us. You definitely
Thank
have to come
you.
back for sure, for sure.
Thank you. No, it's amazing. I love your pod. I love everything you do. I'd
Oh,
love to work with you. If you have any thing you need scored, any extra video you
really?
want, I would
Oh my
love that.
God, scoring, yes.
Let's keep collaborating and just growing together, Miosh.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Thank
I
you so
appreciate you so much.
much. Thank
You're awesome.
you. And thank you all for listening. And always remember to live, love, laugh. We'll see you guys next time.
Amen.